bows. We're here again. So we're going to do page 5. What I want you to do very first is let's scroll around and look at the pointer. We're going to go down to measure 25 down here. These are quarter notes, and that's going to be down bow, which you know is pulling away from your body, then going toward your body. What I'm going to do is show you from the frog area of the bow, because we can do quarter notes from any area of the bow, but we're going to do from the frog, shorter strokes. So sometimes those are easier to learn, but you have to learn it all. So here we are. So you've got your bow set at the frog within maybe an inch of the frog. You can go right up to it if you want to. I tend to start maybe an inch and a half or 2 away from the actual silver of your bow frog, mainly because my hand and the balance of my bow, if I go too close, I'm going to be touching my middle finger there. So last line. So the first 2 bows, I'm going to play here for a minute and show you something with your bow arm. So the top part of the bow, which is your frog to the middle of the bow, is played with your shoulder. So basically this part of your arm doesn't do a whole lot. Your elbow stays stiff, and you're going to play just your shoulder moves. So you've got this nice flat plane here all the way to your fingertips. Your fingertips are attached to the bow, and I want you to play that last line with me. So we're going to set the bow on the string, your cello hug, make sure you've done your relax, and we're just doing open string, so all you have to look at is the bow, and you can look right at it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm using just about this much of the bow. This would be for a half note, this would be for a dotted half note and a full note. So that's all you need. So setting the bow on the string, keep trying that down bow until you get that tone. So the beginning of the note is pretty easy on the set the bow on the string. If you do this, if you just come down at it, you're going to get a clunk. Always set the bow, then play. Set, play. So set, pull, set, pull. Or if you're doing up bow, the up bow gets a little bit of a nudge with your first finger, a little weight, and away you go. Right now you'll be kind of stiff, and it'll sound more like... Don't be frustrated with yourself if it's a little rough that way. Eventually you'll learn what's called a legato bow stroke, and that's where you are actually preparing for the down bow and the up bow, and then you can get that. But that's a little bit down the line to right now, so just a stiff kind of back and forth bow is just fine. So no lifting of the bow. The elbow is going to come down each time. Now when you hit that C string, sometimes the C string needs a little bit of to get it going, otherwise you get this sound. So you have to be heavy, start. So I want you to play around with this. You can play it out of rhythm. You can also just like, how do I get this sound to come out? And learn your cello's technique as far as what it will let you do and what it won't let you do. So that's your exercise for the quarter notes. Now the half notes, you're going to run into this spot where not just your upper arm moves, but your elbow begins to move. So you have 1, I'm going to measure 18 if you look at your music on the open D that's the half note. So you'll go, again, relax everything, set your bow on the string, pull a half note. 1, 2. Now, there's a point at which your elbow starts to straighten out. And that is what keeps, otherwise, let me show you what happens. If I play without my elbow straightening out, you get this bow stroke that sounds like that looks like a smile probably to your view. That will give you this uneven edge on your hair, and it gives you, like, see how your bow moves? And that's if your elbow doesn't release itself. So upper arm, then about halfway on the bow, your elbow takes over. Then your elbow goes, then your shoulder goes. So that's the full stroke on a full bow. Upper arm, lower arm, upper arm. And that's what keeps your bow from moving all over the place. The other thing is that you want to, over time, you're going to learn how to use this space that we have, this playing space. Sometimes you want to be closer to the bridge, sometimes a little farther away, sometimes up on the fingerboard. Depends upon what music you're playing and how loud you want to be, or how much effort you want to put in playing. If you don't want to put a lot of effort in and you want to be soft, you can be soft here. Or you can use more effort and be soft here. You get too high and then you get what I just got, with that bubbly kind of sound, which is not a good sound. That's because your bow's too high up on the fingerboard and you're not getting enough vibration of the string to pull a sound. But for right now, stay about an inch or two away from the bridge, and that's just good. So you're playing around with sound, with tone. How can I balance the weight and the speed of my bow? Every rhythm that you play comes from the bow. Our hands do the notes over here, but all your rhythms come from the bow. So knowing a good bow stroke and having that in place in the beginning is super important. So we did bow arm, tone. You're going to work on getting a smooth tone, and then your string levels. So string levels come from your shoulder. It looks like your elbow's moving, but it comes from your shoulder. So, for instance, if you look at your music, let's say, let's go here to measure 18 on those half notes. You're going to let your bow be lazy on the string, heavy, pull, 1, 2. Now roll your shoulder. The bow never leaves that string. For now. Later, as you get farther along, it will roll the bow, roll your shoulder up. So that's your goal for this week, is to try and get that bow as smooth as possible on all of those open strings.